When you first install the game, these batch files are on the desktop. You can move them anywhere you want, and you can make shortcuts as well, like I have here in my quick launch. They just open up the config and the Nasomi, the Ashita exe. Anyways, in the config, the Final Fantasy config, most of these settings are going to be overwritten by Ashita, like menu resolution, for example. Just go through and set them as high as you think your PC can handle. Make sure that you disable the opening movie because it takes a long time to watch that, and that sucks unless you want to watch it. But the most important thing is Gamepad. If you use a Gamepad, you may experience trouble configuring it. A lot of people can't get the menus to work with their D-pad. In order to get the menus to work, you need to, before you even begin, you need to click alternate setup E. And so when you click alternate setup E, it'll assign, or rather register, all of your buttons correctly, so that then you can go through and confirm or reconfigure the button setup however you like. Next, we'll talk about the Ashita settings. There's different profiles here, and you can click on any one of them and then click on the pencil so that you can edit that specific profile. And so what I did was name one profile after each of my characters, and then right below that in the boot configurations command line, you can add in space -- user space and then your Nasomi username. That might not be your character name, okay? It's your username. Space -- pass space and then your password. If you add this in, it will automatically log you into the server whenever you click play from Ashita, which is really cool. Next, we'll look at the window settings. I don't like to have a border on my window. I like a full screen window with no border on it. The reason I like that is so that the mouse lines up with everything. And we'll talk about the mouse and how it lines up a little more in just a minute. But you can see here, whenever you set the resolution and window sizes, you can put -1 to just use your default monitor resolutions. Or if you would like to change anything, but specifically the size of the menus, the text, then make this resolution smaller than your monitor, which will make it appear larger. But that will have a side effect on the way the mouse lines up with the game, which I'll demonstrate to you here in a moment. Okay, here we are in game, and I'm going to fade back and forth between 1080p menus and 1440p menus so that you can see the difference in scale. So the bigger menus are pretty nice, and I can definitely see why a lot of people would want that. Here's why I don't like that. If you change the resolution of the game away from your default monitor resolution, the mouse gets really weird. Where the farther away you get from this top left corner, the less in line with the game the mouse is. So you can see here where I'm trying to move the menus on the far right side of the screen, and it's way off. But if I open my items menu, which pops up on the top left, you can see the mouse is much closer at the very first item at the top left, the most top left. And as I move down the list, it gets more and more out of sync with the game. Granted, you don't use the mouse very much in this game, but I use it enough that changing the menu size away from my monitor size is just too annoying, so I just keep everything my default monitor resolution. Okay, finally we are at the in-game config menu. So let's just go through these step by step and talk about that. In the gameplay tab, the very first option is auto target during battle. Now this is actually auto lock on. Auto target is a different thing, and you probably want auto target on most of the time. Auto target is if there's a second mob that's claimed and it's lined up in front of you, that you will engage that one when the first mob dies without putting your weapon up. So usually you want to type / auto target on, unless maybe you're doing some kind of BCNM or some kind of mission where the monsters need to be slept and you have to kill in a certain order. In that case, you'd want to do / auto target off so that you don't wake everything up on accident. But the auto lock on, I like to keep that off. Of course, sound off. Inventory, sort, I keep auto sort on. It's just a little bit easier. And after all these years, I know where the items are placed, at the top, at the bottom, whatever, so I don't really lose anything, that I don't have to search my inventory for anything. Chat filters. Now apparently the filters, the chat filters don't work on this server, but the log filters, a couple of options down, do work. So just leave chat filters alone, and we'll go to log filters later. As far as chat colors, this is very personal. Just set your colors for each type of chat to whatever you like. Windows. I see a lot of people configure their windows in many different ways. I like to keep mine horizontal, but you could stack them one on top of the other. I like to keep my windows very small and out of the way. You can set your timestamps however you like, and you can also change the effect. I keep the darkest window effect. It just seems to add the most contrast for me to see the text as good as I can. And I don't even know what window effect is, so might as well turn it on, right? If you go down to window 1 and window 2, this is where you can choose how many lines you display, how wide the lines of text are, how long until the window will collapse. All of these settings are just personal preference, so set it up however you like it. Okay, log filters. This is going to go hand in hand with your window setup. This is where you can choose whether or not to show battle text on the left or the right or the top or the bottom. And so what I'm going to do now is flip through all of my log filters, window 1 and window 2, and you'll see that right here at the top, which window. Basically, they're just going to be the opposite. If a filter is showing in one window, then it'll be blocking the other. Now there's one thing about these log filters: certain messages such as debuffs wearing off cannot be moved. They'll always display on the left or the main chat window. So for me, I've got the left main chat window as my actual conversational chat, not my battle. All my battle is on the right. But I actually like that because when you're in a battle, the battle text is just flying across the screen, and it can be really easy to miss one of your debuffs wearing off. Okay, we've made it to the miscellaneous options. A lot of people like to see the numbers popping up on the screen. I actually don't really like that, so I keep everything displayed in the log. Character information, this is like /anon. I don't really do that much. Shadows and weather effects can have a really big impact on your FPS. Whenever I play on my laptop, I turn shadows and weather off, and it really helps the gameplay a lot smoother. Character models displayed maximum. PC icon, I don't even know what this means, so I leave it on the default. Okay, PC armor display. That is like the game's built-in Blink Me Not plugin. The problem is that it doesn't lock everyone in their gear. Instead, it switches every single character in the game to their level 1 racial starter gears, which in my opinion really ruins the game. It's like you're walking around a world full of the exact same looking NPCs or something. It's terrible. One of the best parts about Final Fantasy XI was seeing somebody run past you with that piece of badass high level armor, and you'd be like, oh shit, you know, and get that kind of jealous inspiration and sense of awe. That was such a big part of what made Final Fantasy XI cool. And so to be a healer in this game and have to static lock everybody to their level 1 gear, that has got to suck, man. It's got to ruin the game for you, and I'm really sorry. We should be able to have Blink Me Not add-on. Anyways, Miscellaneous 2. The clipping plane is the draw distance add-on. I've got another video where I talk about plugins that are not pre-configured, and one of those is draw distance. So just check that video out if you don't already know about draw distance. That's what this option is, though. Let's see, footstep effects. Those I leave on. On my laptop, I turn footstep effects off because I don't know, it might help, I guess. Animation frame rate, that's sort of the same thing as the /FPS plugin. Keyboard size full. Aspect ratio, whatever your monitor is. Key assignments, I've never messed with key assignments, but I guess you could put some custom keybinds or something if you wanted. I use the full size macro palette with dynamic positioning. Miscellaneous 3, weapon effects. I leave these on. I imagine if you turn them off, it would help your performance. Style lock. I don't think style lock works. That's for your own character, like a Blink Me Not for your own character. For some reason, I don't think that works on this server. Area display is sort of inaccurate. It doesn't really display the correct range, but it is nice to indicate that you are casting an AoE. Target expressions, I believe, is what makes the party characters' names get bigger if they're in range. So that's actually the more useful option to know if you're going to hit people with your AoE or not. Status icons, this is very useful. If you are a healer, you're going to want to have party icon display on. That will, and as well as timer, so you can see how long they last. That'll show you whenever you target someone on the bottom left side of your screen what status icons they have, so you'll be able to see their debuffs. Miscellaneous 4, software keyboard, I don't even know, I just leave that shit off. And then effects, so this would help performance a lot. It'll show you, or you can turn off the display of certain effects. For the mouse camera effects, I like inverted camera, and I turn off screen edge panning, the option right up above that, because I have multiple monitors, so whenever I move the mouse to another monitor, I don't want it to start spinning my camera around. Okay, last, global options. This is where you can set your vulgar language filter. Unfortunately, this will not save. You'll have to do this every time you open the game. I heard there's a file that you can delete in the install directory, but I haven't got around to doing that. So maybe if I get into that and check it out and test it, I can make a video about that. And one last thing, all of these settings are saved in your install directory, Nasomi Xi, Square Enix, Final Fantasy Xi user folder. So go to that folder location to back up all of your settings as well as all of your macros. And that's all I got. Thanks for watching.